Hello and welcome back to the recap. Today we revisit Silent Hill in the second installment of the series and things get super heavy, so strap in. Before we start, just a quick reminder that Silent Hill 2 is not a direct sequel to the first game. It is a standalone story with a different theme. Also, this recap is made from the original Japanese PS2 version of the game. It looks grimy, gritty, full of film grain and noise, the way this game is meant to look and feel. If you enjoy the content, remember to subscribe to the channel, and as always, let's get started. In Silent Hill 2, you assume the role of James Sunderland, an ordinary clerk who lost his wife 3 years ago due to an unspecified illness. The game begins in some rundown public toilet just off the highway by Silent Hill, with you staring at yourself in the mirror. You're trying to come to terms with the fact that you received a letter from your late wife Mary, a very sad and melancholic letter in tone, a letter that states how she's all alone in Silent Hill, waiting for you in your special place. You're very blank and feel almost dead inside. A freakish calm graces your face as if you have nothing to lose. Everything is very hazy and you question this whole act of even coming here, dubbing it crazy. Mary did die 3 years ago, but something drove you here anyway, as if some other force is encouraging your benefit of doubt, as if you have unfinished business to take care of here. Tunnel entry on the highway is blocked, so you climb down to a winding pedestrian forest path in order to enter the town. The fog is thick and the noises are very unnerving. It feels as if with each step you solidify the point of no return. After beating this long path, you find yourself in a small graveyard where you bump into a woman named Angela. You startle her, to which she starts apologizing to you for her reaction. There's also this eerie sadness about her. You explain how you're a bit lost and are looking for the right path to town. She says there's only one road which can't be missed, but as you thank her and try to leave, she warns you that it might be for the best if you stayed away from the town. She reluctantly explains how there's something wrong with the town, how it's kind of dangerous and how the thick fog isn't the only strange occurrence. You disregard her words, to which she gets a bit confrontational, claiming she's not lying. You explain you believe her, but you just don't care whether it's dangerous or not. Here, we again witness James being a bit dead inside, acting as if he has nothing to lose. Anyway, you tell her you're looking for someone very important to you, and that you'd give anything to be with her again, to which Angela replies that she's also looking for someone, her mother. She also says she thought her father and brother would be here, but she can't seem to find them either. Now, it's unclear what she means by this, but it's somewhat obvious she's looking for their graves. Everything seems off about Angela. She doesn't seem afraid of the current weirdness, but more as if she has a fear imprint on her. She's twitchy and stuttery, as if she's heavily suffering from PTSD. Anyway, you thank her and leave for the town. There's still a long walk ahead of you, which heightens the feeling of dread and isolation with every step you take. After a while, you finally find yourself in Silent Hill and are met with a huge blood smear on the pavement. You see someone teetering in the distance, so you decide to pursue. As you follow, more blood beneath your feet points you in the right direction. You arrive at a dead end, and underneath a small viaduct you hear a scrambled analog radio signal. It sounds super unnerving, and as you pick it up, you realize the creature you followed is feeding on someone next to you. It turns to you, but you quickly grab a wooden plank, and in utter panic, you smash it over the head. As the creature falls, you realize it's not human, and Angela's words about something being very wrong with this town start coming back. The radio picked up starts emitting a garbled sound of a woman's voice. You can make sense of her voice calling out your name, so you decide to take it. Also, this whole time you should keep in mind that the reason you're here is because you got a letter from your deceased wife. The letter specifically said that Mary is waiting for you in your special place. You think she might mean Rosewater Park, so that's your first destination. The fog is thick and the town seems deserted, infested only with the creatures like the one you've just killed a minute ago. On your way to the park, you find the roads are blocked off and getting to your destination won't be easy. You scour the accessible streets for clues and find an apartment building key on a corpse. It's labeled Woodside Apartments, so you consult the map you found and head over there in hopes of traversing to the other side. You enter Woodside Apartments and find they're abandoned. The windows are all boarded up and it's really hard to see in the dark. The atmosphere is very heavy and the damn game looks so good that you can almost feel the dense air and smell. I can't stress enough how good this game looks even today, and especially for the time it came out. Anyway, your only way is up, so you climb the first floor and the radio you picked up starts emitting static. This is one thing we did not mention in the recap of the first game. The radio in Silent Hill is a great game mechanic. It emits static when enemies are nearby, sort of alerting you to the danger. Now, one would think that this makes the game less frightening, but it's actually the opposite. The radio static, combined with the fixed cinematic camera angles this game puts you through, create an insane amount of tension. For example, when you enter a room, the camera is fixed towards you and the radio goes blazing, but you can't see what's in front of you. This creates such a grand feeling of unease and dread no jump scare can top. And that's the important and greatest thing about Silent Hill. It doesn't rely on jump scares or cheap ways to frighten you. It's a constant, everlasting feeling of nightmarish dread without any relief until you finish the game. It literally feels like a nightmare you're not able to wake up from. And when you finally do, the whole tension is released. Anyway, you enter the first room you can. It's extremely run down and unpleasant to be in, and there is nothing there but a dressing doll with an already turned on flashlight. Things get even heavier when you see the way the doll is dressed. The pink blouse with the flower pattern skirt. It's your late wife's Mary's outfit. In a photograph in your inventory, you can see her wearing the exact same clothes. Things are punching full-on obscene now, and the weirdest thing is you acting like everything is supposed to be like this. Like something pushed you here and you weren't expecting things to look different. Like a heavy darkness is weighing you down, pushing aside normal human responses. I mean, you did lose your wife, so that's reason enough, but anyway. As you grab the flashlight, a monster behind awakens. It's sort of a mannequin, but it's only female legs on top of legs. It looks very disturbing, but just like with the first game, every monster has its significance, and we'll get to that. Also, the monster awoke because you pointed the light at it. There's a recurring mechanic with certain monsters that they only respond to light, so you can avoid them by turning the flashlight off, but that brings a whole other level of fear into play. Anyway, your trusty wooden plank does the job, and now you find yourself without a plan or direction, so you decide to investigate the building. On the third floor you see a key behind some metal bars in the hallway, but just as you try to reach it, a little girl comes out of the apartment. She kicks the key away from you and steps on your hand while laughing, then runs away. Things are weirder by the minute. Who was this? How is a child even alive in a place like this? So many questions but zero answers yet. The next room you enter is riddled with bullet holes, and there is a gun for the taking in a shopping cart. You feel a bit safer with it at your side, so you move on. As you backtrack to the second floor, you hear a male scream and the radio goes off. You brave the hallway and see a strange creature behind metal bars. Creature unlike the ones you've seen so far. It looks like a human wearing sort of a butcher's apron and having this enormous metal pyramid as a helmet. It's just standing there facing you. The radio is blazing but nothing is happening. I believe the original name for this character is Red Pyramid Thing, but we'll just refer to it by its popular name, which is Pyramid Head. Anyway, you're done with this face-off and enter the next room only to find a turned-on TV with static on the screen and someone sitting in front of it. As you come closer, you realize the person is either murdered or committed suicide. The extremely odd thing is that this person is dressed almost exactly like yourself, but seeing how you don't wish to spend any more time than needed in this hellhole, you move on. Just like with the school in the first game, this is where you encounter the first progress stalling puzzles. Here the puzzles are mostly about you and the characters you meet along the way. It will all be revealed in due time, but for now we can only deal in foreshadowing, so if you haven't played the game you can enjoy this recap as the journey the game would put you through. For example, in order to pass through the other side of the apartments you have to solve this clock puzzle. But what's etched on the side of the clock is what matters. It says, "The scars of the past shall remove the nail that stops time." Just like with that book in the school in the first game, this basically explains everything and will be very clear once you reach the end, so let's proceed. You move the clock and are now able to enter the side that was cut off by those metal bars. The side where that little girl kicked the key and where you saw Pyramid Head staring at you. You enter the first room you can and sure enough, there he is again. But the sight is very sickening. You see Pyramid Head handling two of those legs-on-legs mannequins. It looks as if he is having forced intercourse with them, only without the actual intercourse. They're screeching and resisting, but they seem powerless against him. You'll find that sexuality is a strong theme in this game, and for a very good reason, but all in due time. You hide in the closet, but Pyramid Head feels your presence. As he kills off the second mannequin, he puts the focus on you. He's acting quite weird, not attacking you, but you pull out your gun anyway and let loose on him. He seems to get staggered by the bullets and just leaves. You compose yourself and move on. Now you hear a vomiting sound in one of the rooms. You enter and see a murdered person sticking out of the blood-smeared fridge. You follow the vomit sound and carefully open the bathroom only to find another human being, a bit bigger guy. He turns to you, and this is very important. He starts justifying himself that he didn't kill the guy in the fridge or anyone else. You introduce yourself, to which he replies his name is Eddie Dombrowski. You ask him about Pyramid Head, but he is oblivious to his existence, although he does say he saw some strange-looking monsters. He says they scared him, so he hid in here. You ask him what happened to the town, to which he has no answer.
I'm not even from this town. I just...
You too, huh? Something just brought you here, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Well, whatever it is, I think you better get out of here soon.
Yeah, you're right. What about you?
I'll leave as soon as I'm done here. Eddie, be careful.
Here we again see how James seems at peace with the fact that what brought him here might be out of his control. And again, he seems more dead inside than unnerved or frightened by this whole situation. Now, you remember the key that little girl kicked? You are now able to take it, and it's the fire escape key. The only way you can actually go. As you unlock the door, you find there is no fire escape but a gaping hole between two buildings. The doors look straight at the bathroom window of the other building, so in lack of options, you decide to jump. Now you find yourself in Bluecreek apartments. They look even more run down than the Woodside apartments and definitely feel even more unsettling. Very soon you enter a room where you see a familiar face. It's Angela. She's lying on the floor toying with a big kitchen knife. Now, I have to let this cinematic play out.
Yeah, I'm James.
Angela.
Angela, okay. I don't know what you're planning, but there's always another way.
Really? But you're the same as me. It's easier just to run. Besides, is what we deserve.
No, I'm not like you.
Are you afraid? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Did you find your mother?
Not yet. She's not anywhere.
Did she live in this apartment building?
I don't know.
So, all you know is she lived in this town.
What did you say? How do you know that?
Well, I just figured, 'cause this is where you're looking for her. How else would I know?
Yeah,
Am I right?
I'm so tired.
So, why did you come to this town anyway?
I'm sorry. Did you find the person you're looking for?
Not yet. Her name's Mary. She's my wife.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Anyway, she's dead. I don't know why I think she's here.
She's dead?
Don't worry. I'm not crazy. At least, I don't think so.
I've got to find my mama.
Should I go with you? This town's dangerous. Now I know what you meant back there in the cemetery.
I'll be okay by myself. Besides, I'd just slow you down.
What about that?
Will you hold it for me?
Sure. No problem.
If I kept it, I'm not sure what I might do. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Please, don't.
Okay, there's so much to unpack here. It's obvious now Angela has suicidal thoughts, and is probably suffering from more than just PTSD. Also, one of the most important things when you confront her about it is her saying, "But you're the same as me, it's easier to just run. Besides, it's what we deserve." Now this line is everything. Add in that clock verse and the picture is starting to form. Also, as you heard, that conversation about her mother and your wife gets super weird, causing Angela to have mood shifts. But the greatest clue into her trauma is when she herself decides to give you the knife but screams and gets defensive as you reach for it. It's obvious she has issues with human touch and starts apologizing and blaming herself. But like I said, all in due time. Also, I said that the puzzles here are mostly tied to you and the rest of the characters. Well, in Bluecreek Apartments, there is this famous coin puzzle, and one of the coins is a prisoner coin with a female face on it, found in the very room where you spoke to Angela. This also ties very well into her situation. By solving the coin puzzle, you are able to push forward and ultimately find the key for the stairway. You unlock it, and just when you think you're finally able to leave, there's your good friend Pyramid Head waiting for you with a butcher's knife the size of a human being. He starts hacking away at you, but quite slowly, as his knife is mega heavy. You cannot escape since the stairway is flooded, so you direct some bullets his way, but they just ricochet off his helmet. Very soon, you're met with an intense fact that you cannot kill this being. You just have to let this stress fest run its course and not get killed in the process, because very soon, that famous Silent Hill emergency siren goes off and Pyramid Head slowly climbs down the stairs into the water. As he disappears, so does the flood, presenting you with a way out. It's still unclear what Pyramid Head's purpose is, but it's quite obvious you'll be seeing him again. Now you are able to traverse to the other side of the town via the back exit. You can finally get to Rosewater Park now, which was your original intention. As you follow the back alley, you come by a little girl chilling on the wall, humming to herself. She seems to be without a care in the world in a place like this. You recognize her as the one who kicked the key and stepped on your hand.
You? It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who stepped on my hand.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
What's a little girl like you doing here anyway?
Huh? Are you blind or something?
What's that letter?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
Wait! How do you know Mary's name?
She's quite cheeky, and the whole situation just got even weirder. How is she even alive here? What did she mean by stating that it's obvious what she's doing here, and how does she know Mary? But the real kicker is when she says, "You didn't love Mary anyway," before running away. It's these tiny bits and pieces that Silent Hill feeds you up to the great reveal. Now, with the girl gone, you step into Rosewater Park. On the pier, you see an anxiety-inducing sight. An outline of a woman looking exactly like your late wife Mary. You call for her, but as she turns, you see it's not Mary, somehow. Although the resemblance is uncanny.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, my late wife. I can't believe it. You could be her twin. Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are
My
different.
name is Maria. I don't look like a ghost, do I?
She introduces herself as Maria, and this whole conversation is completely insane.
Where are you going?
I'm looking for Mary. Have you seen her?
Didn't you say she died?
Oh yeah, 3 years ago. But I got a letter from her. She says she was waiting in our special place.
Maria is very flirty and the dialogue lines are straight up from like a dream sequence or something.
Is this your only special place?
Well, there's the hotel too, I guess. The one on the lake? I wonder if it's still there.
The Lakeview Hotel? Yeah, it's still there. So, the hotel was your special place, huh? I'll bet it was. Don't get so mad. I was just joking. Anyway, it's not that way. It's this way.
You're coming with me?
You were gonna just leave me?
No, but...
With all these monsters around?
No, I just...
I'm all alone here. Everyone else is gone. I look like Mary, don't I? You loved her, right? Or maybe you hated her.
Don't be ridiculous.
So it's okay?
Yeah, fine.
The important thing is that your conversation also feels like two teenagers bickering, and we see here that Maria can already strike a nerve in you, even though this is the first time meeting her. She also seems manipulative, pulling the "I look like Mary" card for you to have sympathy and form attachment to her. Also, one of the most important lines is this, remember it.
Or maybe you hated her.
For now, Maria's intentions are unclear, but I guess company in a place like this can prevent you from stepping over the edge. Also, another very important detail is that Maria is dressed very seductively, opposed to Mary's conservative outfit in the picture and the one presented on the dressing doll in the apartments. Also, Maria has a butterfly tattoo on her stomach. I'll just leave it at that for now. The Lakeview Hotel is your next destination, so you both step on it. After some running to your objective, you find the road is completely cut off. However, you stumble on a corpse there with a piece of map next to it. The map has a bowling venue circled, so in lack of options, you decide to check it out. As you enter, you hear that little girl and Eddie talking. The gist of their conversation is that Eddie is running away from the police, to which the girl calls him a gutless fatso. This is an important and recurring thing, people making fun of Eddie based on his appearance. The girl naively asks why can't he just apologize for what he's done, but Eddie responds he's beyond forgiveness. Now, remember your first encounter with him was a near-killed person. Maybe there is something to it, although he claims to be innocent. Anyway, the girl confides in Eddie that she too runs away a lot, to which Eddie asks her if she had found the woman she's looking for, Mary. This is very interesting, she too is looking for Mary. You enter the lane room, but the girl is already leaving. You nudge Eddie to go after her, but he seems totally chill and not concerned at all. He reveals her name is Laura and that she said she was fine on her own, to which you explode, saying that this town is full of monsters, so how can he just sit there stuffing his face with pizza and not doing anything?
She said she was fine by herself. She said a fatso like me would just slow her down.
Forget you.
Anyway, you go after Laura and exit the bowling venue to a sight of Maria panting. She was trying to catch Laura, but the girl got away. You decide to pursue her together and make your way through the back alleys until you reach a crawl space too tight for you to fit in.
She went through there.
Is there any other way?
Yeah, there is. Right through there.
Now, Maria has keys to this place right next to the crawl space called Heaven's Night, which is a strip club. This also solidifies her symbolism, but again, we'll talk about that when the time is right. You're now able to traverse to the other side, and you catch a glimpse of Laura entering the hospital.
Over there!
Now, this hospital is different from the one in the first game. It's called Brookhaven, and it's actually a mental institution. This fits the theme of this game much closely. Just like the apartments, it's all boarded up and dark, super unnerving to be in. The atmosphere is a masterpiece. Anyway, you move on in pursuit of Laura and you stumble upon a new enemy type, the nurse. Just like those mannequins, which are basically legs on top of legs, the nurse is also very sexual. It wears a tight short uniform and heels, showing off its legs and cleavage. More and more we see that sexuality is a strong theme here. Also, by now you have picked up the fact that no monster in this game has a face. Anyway, you pump the nurse full of lead and move on. This hospital presents you with progress stalling puzzles again, so you roll up your sleeves and get to work. After some time, Maria starts coughing and tells you to wait a bit because she's tired, claiming it only to be a hangover.
James. Wait a minute. I'm kinda tired. It's just a hangover.
You also see her taking some pills, so you tell her to rest while you look for Laura. She does so without much hesitation. Now, without spoiling things in advance, keep in mind that your wife died from an unspecified disease. Maria, who looks insanely similar to your wife, is starting to cough and is currently laying in a hospital bed. Anyway, you move on, and after some fussing about, you come to the roof. You find the patient diary strongly indicating the person who wrote it took its own life, probably by jumping off the roof. The important thing about all the memos, diaries and scribblings you find in the game is that they either symbolize your actions and mental state or talk about other characters you met along the way. Anyway, as you try to return, the doors you came through are locked, which leads to a very unsettling familiar sound, heavy metal screeching on the floor. And there he is, your good friend Pyramid Head. He brutally pushes you off the roof, but luckily you fall to the floor below. So, although badly injured, you're alive. He actually pushed you to a part of the floor that was sealed before, so now you can keep exploring. You scour the rest of the hospital for clues until you finally end up in a room where you see teddy bears on a bed and hear a child's genuine playful laugh. You finally caught up with Laura.
Laura?
Huh? You know my name?
Eddie told me.
That big fat blabbermouth.
How do you know about Mary?
What's the big deal?
Why can't you just tell me?
You gonna yell at me if I don't?
No, I won't.
She's really not nice to you, but eventually she hesitantly explains she was friends with Mary at the hospital. She says they met last year, to which you blow your fuse, calling her a liar because Mary was already dead at that point.
Fine, don't believe me.
Laura doesn't seem to be lying though, so you calm yourself and suggest getting out of the hospital before continuing this conversation. Also, you're amazed that Laura is still safe and without a scratch in a place like this, but she doesn't understand why she'd be in danger. Again, all in due time. As you leave the room, Laura says there is a letter from your late wife Mary she stored in the examination room and wants you to get...
What is it?
A letter from Mary.
Huh?
You naively hop on this endorphin ride and Laura locks you into a room, tricking you for calling her a liar.
Laura! What are you doing?
Panic sets in and you order her to open the door, making her even more mad at you.
I think I'll just leave you like this.
You snotty little brat! Open up!
Laura just runs away as 3 disfigured hanging figures drop from the ceiling. This boss is called Flesh Lips and is also highly symbolic of James's situation and experience, so expect an explanation later in this video. The shotgun does its job and the air raid siren starts piercing through the air. You're then transported into this Jacob's Ladder sequence to what appears to be the smallest courtyard ever, with only one door leading back in. As you enter the hospital, you see it has changed. This is the first time we encounter the Otherworld in Silent Hill 2, or at least a version of the first game's Otherworld. And it's a bit different, visually and narratively. Here, the Otherworld has a different meaning, and looks a lot less hellish but more run down, and depicts a world that has been neglected and forgotten. I will repeat myself again and again on how good and unnerving this game looks and feels. Silent Hill 2 is a masterclass in horror in every aspect, and there is nothing like it out there. Anyway, after some fussing about and trying to figure out how to get yourself out of here, you return to the room where you left Maria. She's gone, but there are 4 empty pill bottles next to the bed. Remember she started coughing and taking pills back in the normal hospital? Well, we'll get to that. For now, you move on. There are a lot of memos scattered around this hospital written by different mental patients. As I already said, while they are part of the puzzle solving, they are also a heavy metaphorical foreshadowing of the game's true story. Your findings lead you into the basement, and as you uncover a weird hole in the wall, a woman's voice calls out your name.
James!
Mary?
The voice is almost identical to Mary, but it's Maria. She isn't pleased with this, and you also seem disappointed in her not being Mary, so she goes on a screaming spree.
Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me. I was almost killed back there. Why didn't you try to save me? All you care about is that dead wife of yours. I've never been so scared in my whole life.
We again witness James and Maria bickering and fighting like an old couple, although they've known each other for a day.
No, I
Then
just...
stay with me. Don't ever leave me alone. You're supposed to take care of me.
Maria then goes into desperation mode and says a couple of perfectly placed sentences. Stay with me, don't ever leave me alone, you're supposed to take care of me. All while standing in the hospital. Let's just remember that your wife Mary was hospitalized before her death. Also, the girl Laura, who was hospitalized along with Mary, doesn't seem to like you much. Some sort of picture is starting to form now, although we still don't know what's actually happening. The game gives us enough to speculate and therefore keeps us on edge. Maria also asks about Laura, and you tell her how she ran away, to which Maria replies that you have to find her. Also, regarding the thing I said a second ago, Maria seems to have an intense attachment to Laura, although she never met her before. After some more horror dosing with Maria at your side, you stumble on a memo written by someone with spelling issues. It says the person hid the keys to the museum behind a praying lady. Very soon this will be clear. The only path you can take now is the staircase all the way down, which leads to a long labyrinth-like hallway. You start running with Maria keeping close track, but all of a sudden your good friend Pyramid Head appears behind you wielding a menacing spear. You pick up your pace, but so does he. As you finally reach an elevator at the end, the doors start closing. You quickly jump in, but it's too late for Maria. The doors have already closed almost completely, and Maria gets impaled by Pyramid Head. Devastated, you fall to the floor in desperation. Anyway, the elevator takes you back to the hospital lobby where you find a map telling you you'll need a wrench and a ladder, pointing you to locations in which you might find these items. There is also cryptic writing saying, "He who is not bold enough to be stared at from across the abyss is not bold enough to stare into himself. The truth can only be learned by marching forward." Interesting. With Maria dead and Laura gone, you set your focus back to the real reason you're here, your late wife Mary. As you exit the hospital, the streets are now pitch black. The town is even more uninviting and unsettling. Also, the nurses from the hospital and mannequins from the apartments are now spread across the town, infesting the streets like vermin. The layout has also changed. Roads that used to be blocked or cut off are now open and vice versa. As you scour the town, you enter that Neely's bar place where the message "there used to be a hole here but it's gone now" is written in blood, only to find a new one written on the wall. The message reads, "If you really want to see Mary, you should just die. but you might be heading to a different place than Mary, James. Heavy foreshadowing, but let's move on. You go to the first marked location the map at the hospital directed you to and find the letter. It's a continuation of the abyss mystery you read at the hospital, saying, "Or perhaps you're a fool. The truth usually betrays people. A part of that abyss is in the old society." The letter also says how the key to the historical society is buried beneath a praying woman's statue in a park inside of a lockbox. This letter was written by a doctor and refers to the one we found at the top of the staircase in the hospital, the one written by a patient where he talks about taking the key to the museum. Anyway, this letter also states you'll need a wrench to break open the lockbox. Now, the super creepy thing is the doctor continues to say how he knew the patient buried it there, but he did nothing since it made him uneasy to have that key near him, saying, "I wasn't looking for the truth but for tranquility. I also saw that thing. I fled, but the museum was sealed as well. Now no one dares to approach that place. If you do not wish to stop, James, I pray to the Lord to have mercy on your eternal soul." Heavy. Also, the message is directed at you personally. Anyway, you arrive at Rosewater Park and find the statue of the praying lady. Just as the note said, there is a lockbox buried underneath, which you open with a wrench and find a bronze key inside. This key opens the doors to the Historical Society, which is basically a small museum. Once inside, one of the first things you see is a large painting of your good friend Pyramid Head, with the caption, "Misty Days, Remains of the Judgment." He is also wielding a spear in the painting, like the one he stabbed Maria with. Two more interesting paintings are here, one of the director of the Brookhaven Hospital and one of a very deep hole. Other than few more paintings of the town, there's not much more here. However, there is a broken wall with a tight downslope corridor leading somewhere. Now, this thing is as creepy as it gets. You can hear a boat horn blasting louder and louder while you pursue this impossibly long corridor. Let's just appreciate it for a moment. You finally reach the end and enter the next room. What comes next is by far the best horror ever in my opinion. You are now in what used to be a prison under Toluca Lake, and the way this location looks is a pure masterpiece. The textures and feeling of this place is the closest to having an actual nightmare as any piece of horror media I ever got, in my opinion. There's nothing flashy about it, nothing grandiose, just pure dread, a bad dream you're unable to wake from. Also, the way Silent Hill 2 ups the stakes when you've thought you've seen the worst is insane. There is no relief whatsoever. Anyway, you find some more paintings here. The noteworthy ones are the one that depicts death by either hanging or skewering. I'll explain when the time is right. And the other one gives insight into this place, saying it was a prison camp built during the Civil War. This first part of the location is small, and what awaits you at the end is a large bottomless hole. Remember the painting of a hole foreshadowing you'll have to take a leap? Yeah, that's it. Things get even more surreal as you jump inside it, not knowing what will happen. There's quite little hesitation, which solidifies the feeling of you pursuing the truth no matter what. Anyway, you regain consciousness in what looks like a large dried brick well. Claustrophobia kicks in and you start bashing the wall with a steel pipe. A part of it breaks and reveals a door. The next era looks like the first one, but even tighter and kind of sewerish. This game is upping the stakes more and more. After some roach issues, you find another room with a metal grate above an impossible abyss. You unlock the grate and take a leap into yet another blackness. This whole descent feels insane. It feels wrong, yet so final and right. There are a lot of moments in this game where you feel like the point of no return, but this whole descent cranks it up to 11. It also feels like you've entered the deepest recesses of your mind and the only way to get out is to push forward and confront yourself. Anyway, you come about in a prison cafeteria and hear a familiar voice. It's Eddie Dombrovsky saying that killing a person is no big deal. He seems whacked out of his mind and is wielding a gun. Next to him is a dead man with his brains blown out. Again. Eddie says it wasn't his fault though. The man made him do it. Eddie's theory is that the man was making fun of him with his eyes, so he had to kill him, just like the guy earlier in the apartments.
Eddie, you can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
Oh yeah? Why not? Till now I always let people walk all over me. Just like that stupid dog. He had it coming too.
Eddie?
I was just joking, James. He was dead when I got here, honest. Anyway, I gotta run.
You're going out there alone?
Yeah.
It's quite obvious he wasn't joking, but let's move on. Also, this. After scouring this absolute hell, you find a courtyard with an execution noose. On the pedestal are holders for 3 tablets which you find exploring the prison. Like I said, the puzzles in this game are connected to the characters. Here, for example, the tablet of Glutinous Pig is found in the cafeteria after the encounter with Eddie and is clearly connected to him. In the shower you find the tablet of the Seductress, and all I'm gonna say for now is that it's connected to Angela. There is a meaning to why it's found in the shower and why it's called the Seductress. Very soon you'll find the reasoning behind it and is by far the sickest one in the game. Third tablet is one of the Oppressor found in the holding cell and it's connected to you. Also, like I said, they all belong on a pedestal of a noose symbolizing judgment. The descent into prison is a moment in the game when all bets are off. The veil starts lifting and we've already seen Eddie's true state of mind. The 3-tablet puzzle completion leads you to all the items you need to access a trap door found in one of the hallways. You jump into yet another, this time tight hole, and find yourself in what seems to be a prison morgue. You're surrounded by foul-smelling corpses, the stench of putrid flesh burrowing deep in your nostrils. The deeper you go, the worse the atmosphere gets. At the end is another gaping abyss. There's no point in hesitating anymore, so you jump again. The soundtrack is now literally your worst nightmare coming to visit you. You pass a rusty door and there's another hole presented. Honestly, I don't know whether to call it rust anymore. This environmental deterioration is way beyond rust and mold. It's basically hell itself. Anyway, you jump for the 7th time or something. When you come about, you are presented only with a large industrial elevator, which starts descending once you enter it. The descent feels endless, detaching you even further from reason and reality. The elevator finally stops and you find yourself in a strange new area. The walls and doors look as if they're a part of some motel or an apartment building. It's extremely weird. In addition to being in an impossibly deep location, there is no map for it, so you kind of draw it along as you go. Also, a cool detail is if you turn your flashlight, the map won't be drawn. After a bit of exploring, you realize this place is like a damn labyrinth. To make matters worse, you bump into Pyramid Head, who is slowly navigating these tight hallways, so you step on it in another direction. Soon you find a utility room where you see Pyramid Head's great knife laying on the table. You're able to pick it up and use it as a weapon, but it's super slow because of its weight. Effective, but slow. The knife itself and the swap to his spear also have meanings, so I'll explain when the time is right. Now you stumble on a weird rotating room and successfully traversing it leads you to sort of a prison cell with none other than Maria sitting there, alive and well. You're super shocked and anxious, but Maria doesn't seem to recall being chased and stabbed with a spear whatsoever.
You're alive! Maria, I thought that thing killed you. Are you hurt bad?
Not at all, silly.
Maria? That thing, it stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator, and then
James, what are you talking about?
just before, don't you remember?
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So, you're Maria.
I am. If you want me to be.
All I want from you is an answer.
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Come and get me. I can't do anything through these bars.
Okay. Stay right there. I'll be there soon.
It's obvious now that the line between your late wife Mary and Maria is getting blurred. She's now also encouraging you to go to the hotel, speaking as if she was Mary, giving you a specific task, to retrieve a videotape you left there. Also, this was the second time Maria died and reappeared alive. The first time was a bit more subtle, but back in the hospital when she took the pills and lied down, her body is later gone and open pill containers are next to it. I think that symbolizes her dying and her body being removed from the bed. It will be more clear by the end of the game. Also, remember earlier in the game I pointed out Maria has a butterfly tattoo. I believe it's foreshadowing her rebirth in these situations. Just a cool little addition to everything. Another interesting thing about this conversation is that it's not actually clear who is the one behind bars. Sure, it seems like you're the one moving freely, but are you? Can we really call this whole experience being free? Anyway, you try to find your way to the room Maria was in, and along you find a very interesting and important newspaper article. Parts of the words are obscured, so it's not totally clear, but the gist of it is that a murder investigation was opened regarding a man named Thomas who was stabbed to death multiple times with a sharp-edged weapon. Due to the signs of struggle, lack of the murder weapon, and the money in the room being untouched, the police is treating it as a crime of passion. Furthermore, the important thing is that this Thomas person had a history of drunkenness and violence. The next hallway is littered with newspaper articles, and you hear a familiar voice pleading at her father for mercy.
Daddy, please don't!
The next room you enter is something to behold. You see Angela curled up in the corner of the room with an insane-looking monster threatening her. Before we get into the explanation, you fill the monster with lead, and after it eats enough, it goes down.
Are you okay? Angela, relax.
Don't order me around!
I'm not trying to order you.
So what do you want then? Oh, I see. You're trying to be nice to me, right? I know what you're up to. It's always the same. You're only after one thing.
No, that's not true at all.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead and say it. Or you could just force me. Beat me up like you always did. You only care about yourself anyway. You disgusting pig.
Angela.
Don't touch me! You make me sick.
Okay, there's so much to unpack here. Angela's storyline is heavy as it gets. We understand now that Angela was physically and sexually abused by her father. The monster you just fought is called Abstract Daddy, and it's one of the best designs ever. This monster represents Angela's father forcing himself on her on a bed, and then the whole thing is wrapped in human skin and has legs. To add to the sickness of the fact, this whole room is full of holes which have pistons thrusting in and out, symbolizing continuous forced penetration. The newspaper clipping you saw now makes sense. We know Angela came to Silent Hill with a knife. The newspaper clipping said the murder weapon is still to be found. We also know the victim was an abuser, and if you have access to the internet, you also know that Angela's last name is Orozco, same as the stabbing victim. Angela was finally pushed to a breaking point and killed her father for the atrocities he inflicted upon her. Now that we know what she's been through, let me explain the tablet of the seductress we found in the shower. In this case, the seductress is Angela. Naturally, this is a hint at her father probably blaming her for his inability to control himself. She wasn't a seductress, she's a victim of a sickening deed. The reason we find the tablet in the shower hints she obsessively cleaned herself to try and wash the hurt and filth her father continuously inflicted on her. Her behavior reflects her trauma. We'll talk about Angela more later, but until then, she has a sort of a switch in the behavior, turning on you. She has so much resentment and distrust built up that even after you saved her from this monster version of her father, she still accuses you of only being nice to her in order to come after her sexually. She is trying to find your flaw and hitting where it hurts most. Also, foreshadowing something, of course.
You said your wife Mary was dead, right?
Yes. She was ill.
Liar! I know about you. You didn't want her around anymore. You probably found someone else.
That's ridiculous. I never...
One thing that is evident now is this strong crime and punishment vibe the game is pushing, especially in the later part. The next puzzle with men hanged for various crimes is no different. Anyway, once you solve it, you're able to progress through some god-awful sewer to the room Maria was in. The site you stumble on is Maria dead again.
Maria? Maria, no! What happened to you? Why?
Aside from the liters of blood under her, there is blood all over her nose and mouth, which is important for the entanglement of this joyride. You sit by the bed and call her Mary before leaving the room. The next room of importance is this small graveyard, which feels as if it's inside and outside at the same time. It's hard to explain. There are 3 empty graves with inscribed gravestones. The moment you inspect them is the moment things get on the nose. The first grave says James Sunderland, which is you. The second reads Angela Orozco, and the last one is Eddie Dombrovsky. Now, regarding that crime and punishment vibe, we know Angela killed her father, and we know Eddie Dombrovsky is a homicidal maniac. This leaves you. I believe it's quite obvious by now, but let's hold back on the explanation until the grand finale. Anyway, you realize your grave is bottomless, and with nowhere else to go, you decide to jump again. You now find yourself in a long hallway which becomes colder and colder with each step you take, until finally you reach a door leading to some sort of butcher's meat freezer. Eddie Dombrovsky is waiting there, again, with a corpse under his feet again.
Eddie? What are you doing?
What does it look like? He always busted my balls. You fat, disgusting piece of shit. You make me sick. Fat ass, you're nothing but a waste of skin. You're so ugly, even your mama don't love you. Maybe he was right. Maybe I am nothing but a fat, disgusting piece of shit. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead. And the corpse can't laugh. From now on, if anyone makes fun of me, I'll kill him. Just like that.
Here we see Eddie has completely lost it, and it's evident he did kill the people we found next to him.
Eddie, have you gone nuts?
I knew it. You too. You're just like him, James.
Hey, I didn't mean anything.
Don't bother. I understand. You've been laughing at me all along, haven't you?
Your poor choice of words makes him go ballistic on your ass.
I'll kill you, James!
After a couple of hits, Eddie goes deeper into the freezer, so you follow. Eddie now has a monologue on his behavioral pattern, how he was bullied and laughed at his whole life, trying to justify the things he does, but also revealing he's mentally disturbed, coping with body dysmorphia and eating disorder. The tipping point was when he killed an innocent dog and then injured the knee of a football player classmate who was excessively bullying him even after the graduation. Eddie shot the classmate using his father's revolver, the one we see him with all the time, and afterwards just fled before coming to Silent Hill. Also, the first talk you had with him when he said he see monsters around town now appeared to just actually be humans who he thought were laughing at his appearance, so he killed them. Also, an incredibly important thing he says is,
Don't get all holy on me, James! This town called you too! You and me are the same! We're not like other people! Don't you know that?
Similar to what Laura and Angela said to you in their fits of rage. You hold a very dark secret which you as a player should be aware of by now. Also, if you pay attention, the meat hanging in the freezer are the torsos of an overweight person, like Eddie. The room has taken the shape of his greatest pain, just like the thrusting pylons in Angela's case, simulating forced intercourse. Anyway, after enough bullets, Eddie can finally rest, to put it politely. Eddie couldn't find peace and sank deeper into his psychosis, eventually completely breaking down and meeting his end at your hands. You, however, are in absolute shock you killed a human being, and you again question everything, even your wife's death.
Mary, did you really die 3 years ago?
With Eddie out of the picture, you exit the freezer and find yourself on the pier just across the location which was your initial destination, the Lakeview Hotel. Conveniently, there is a boat here which you take to the foggy lake. After rowing aimlessly for some time, a light in the distance appears and guides you to where you're supposed to arrive. As you approach the hotel, you notice it hasn't changed at all in 3 years, which is an important detail. You enter the lobby and get startled by a piano note. Turns out it's Laura.
Did I scare you?
Yeah, you did.
You're here to find Mary, aren't you, James? Well, have you?
You find it interesting that Laura is here at the hotel as well, but then she shows you a letter Mary left her.
If you know where she is, tell me. I'm tired of walking.
I wish I knew.
But she said it in her letter.
What letter?
Wanna read it? But don't tell Rachel, okay?
Who's Rachel?
She was our nurse. I took it from her locker.
The letter is a sincere goodbye to Laura, where Mary explains how she is gone in a quiet, beautiful, faraway place. The letter also serves as an insight into their relationship. To be precise, how deep their relationship was, to the point that Mary was even thinking of adopting Laura if she ever got better. The letter also implores Laura to give James a chance, which means something was going on between her and you. Mary obviously complained to Laura about certain things in your relationship. This explains Laura's disposition towards you. It explains why she was so rude and bore an ill will. In the letter, Mary also wishes Laura a happy 8th birthday, to which you ask Laura how old she is. Laura retorts she turned 8 last week.
So, Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago. Could she really be here? Is this the quiet, beautiful place she was talking about?
Me and Mary talked a lot about Silent Hill. She even showed me all her pictures. She really wanted to come back. That's why I'm here. Maybe you'll get it if you see the other letter. The one Mary... Huh? I must have dropped it.
Laura!
I gotta find it.
Laura!
So this other letter is supposed to give us more insight on the whole situation, but Laura seems to have dropped it somewhere, so she runs away again to find it. You're once again left to navigate a hellish location and solve puzzles in order to progress. As you explore the hotel, you find a message addressed to you that the videotape you left has been kept for you in the hotel office, the one Maria told you to go get in your conversation in Labyrinth. You also find the key to room 312 at the reception, the very room Mary and you stayed in the last time you were here. After going through numerous obstacles, you managed to reach room 312, where you input the tape you collected into a VCR.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful. You know what I heard? This whole area used to be a sacred place. I think I can see why. It's too bad we have to leave. Please promise you'll take me again, James.
This is it. This is the moment of truth and confrontation with your own self. Yes, Mary was terminally ill, but you are the one who killed her. You smothered your own wife with a pillow. All the remarks Angela, Eddie and Laura made about you now make sense. The prison location, the judgment, the empty grave waiting for you. All three of you committed murder and were drawn to Silent Hill to face up to what you did. It's just that your mind simply blocked it off due to your inability to process and come to terms with the act itself. The time frame also makes sense now. Mary did not die 3 years ago. You killed her 3 days ago. Laura's 8th birthday now makes sense. We're not done yet, so we'll get back to the decision of killing Mary, but 2 questions remain now. What next, and what's up with Laura and Maria? We get why James, Angela and Eddie are here. We understand their tragedy, but what about the little girl and the Mary lookalike? Anyway, Laura has one last fit of rage at you, completely shocked you could have done such a thing and taken Mary away from her.
Did you get the letter? Did you find Mary? If not, let's get going already, okay?
Laura. Mary's gone. She's dead.
Liar, that's a lie!
No, that's not true.
She died because she was sick?
No, I killed her.
You killer! Why'd you do it? I hate you! I want her back! Give her back to me! I knew it! You didn't care about her! I hate you, James! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! She was always waiting for you. Why? Why?
I'm sorry. The Mary you know isn't here.
Laura hopelessly leaves as her whole world is shattered, while you just remain sitting, completely dead inside, facing nothingness. It feels as if you belong here now, as if you became a part of the nightmare. Also, this is the exact same scene you found at the apartments in the beginning of the game. Remember the dead slouched person in the armchair in front of TV static that was dressed the same as you? This seems like the end of the road, until suddenly the radio starts emitting a familiar voice calling out to you. You remember how in the beginning of the game the radio emitted some voice calling out to you? It was Mary's voice all along. You can hear it clearly now. She implores you to hurry, wondering why you won't come. With this new task at hand, you move on. Now that you confronted yourself, the hotel has changed. It is now a ruin as the truth came crashing, representing a shattered image of what was. As you now understand what you had done, the illusion of the town begins to disappear, hence the transformation of the hotel. When you entered, it looked as you remembered it, but after you see the videotape, it reverts to its true form. So, one more time you navigate this decrepit testament to life's hardship until you reach Angela staring at some framed human skins. Here, we come to a close of Angela's arc. She seems somewhat different than the other times, kind of more at peace. It feels as if she has reached some sort of decision or conclusion. First and foremost, let's play the cutscene because it's a masterpiece and then we'll talk about it.
Mama! Mama, I was looking for you. Now you're the only one left. Maybe then I can rest. Mama, why are you running away? You're not my mama. It's you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Angela, no.
Thank you for saving me. But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it. I deserved what happened.
No, Angela, that's wrong.
No, don't pity me. I'm not worth it. Or maybe you think you can save me. Will you love me? Take care of me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought. James, give me back that knife.
No, I won't.
Saving it for yourself?
Me? No, I'd never kill myself. It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too. For me, it's always like this.
This vivid scene of Angela standing surrounded by fire saying, "For me it's always like this," perfectly depicts how hard her hurt burns every day, and without the possibility of dousing it, she just surrenders to the fire. Years of sexual abuse by those closest to her set her on an irreversible path. She had never known what support feels like, leaving her completely misanthropic and unable to trust people, believing them to be inherently superficial and selfish. She feels very much alone in her suffering, which is solidified by her mother, who was passively complicit. Angela's mother either ignored the situation or blamed her for what was going on, which is beyond sickening. It could have been her mother's coping mechanism to think of her as a little seductress, to remove some of the blame from her husband and son. This is the thing I didn't mention before, but the game suggests it was not only her father who sexually abused her, but also her brother. Also, these skins being displayed here represent her father and brother with their genitals mutilated, indicating she had castrated them as well. Years of unimaginable torment and pain drove her to this act. It is unclear, however, what happened to her mother, and it's also unclear why she is searching for her, whether to try and get one last plea for love and support, or to kill her as well. The genius of this game is that we as players feel so powerless on these matters, especially watching this super sad and melancholic cutscene. We don't have the answers. We don't know what we would do in her situation. At least I hope most of you out there didn't have Angela's situation. Is she in the wrong for killing her father and brother? I mean, yes, I believe it's wrong to kill, but then again, what was she supposed to do without any support around her? Who will come to her rescue? Who will punish the father and the brother? How does one make this situation right? How can we expect one's mind to recover from years of sexual torment inflicted by those you should be able to rely on, those who should represent safety and love? How it feels for Angela to carry those genes, to look in the mirror and see her father's daughter. This sickening abuser left a permanent mark and is ever present in her. We don't have the answers because there are no answers. These are some of the heaviest situations there are, topics people don't even want to think about and let alone speak about, and that's why I say this game is so bold. It showcases the horror in all its might. Unfortunately, Angela couldn't overcome her trauma, so she goes down the path of self-harm, ending her life in hopes of finally finding peace. Like I said, this whole conversation with her is much different than the ones before. She's not jumpy or scared or angry. She's just tired of the constant pain and wishes to be rid of it. After this encounter, the hotel pretty much directs you onto one possible path, and traversing it leads you into this room.
Stop! Leave her alone! Leave us both the hell alone!
I was weak. That's why I needed you. Needed someone to punish me for my sins. But that's all over now. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
This is it. You're finally facing him, but on your own terms this time. Or by your own choice, to be precise. So, who is Pyramid Head? Well, he's your prosecutor, judge, and jury. He also had sort of a dual task in the larger picture. Yes, he was here to hurt you, but he was also here to nudge you on the right path of remembering what you did and facing yourself. Pyramid Head manifested into this world out of your need for atonement. You needed someone to punish you for your sins, and now that you are finally facing up to what you did, Pyramid Head becomes redundant. Also, if you're wondering why Pyramid Head looks the way he does, it's because that is the exact same look the executioners of old had in this town when performing executions. This can be seen back in the Historical Society when you see a painting titled Misty Day Remains of the Judgment. This is not Pyramid Head, this is just a historical painting of the town's executioner. James probably saw this painting 3 years ago when he was here with Mary, so his subconscious made his prosecutor look like this. Now, regarding Pyramid Head's weapon, his great knife is actually a half of a pair of scissors. The intent was for James to obtain the other half of the scissors later in the game, symbolizing Pyramid Head's role as a reflection of his psyche. However, there was not enough time to put a second great knife in the game, so James ultimately obtains the same knife wielded by Pyramid Head. Also, Pyramid Head's mannerisms while carrying the great knife imply that he is in pain, mirroring James's emotional state. Regarding the spear, I'm not sure there's a deeper meaning, but since the game has a very sexual theme, a phallic thrusting object like a spear fits well. Also, there was talk of skewering before in the prison, and the executioners of old did have a deep religious practice, so who knows. Now is a good time to get into the symbolism of the monsters as well. The monsters are very sexual in their nature, especially the mannequin and the nurse. They represent both your suppressed sexual and violent desires, and being in-game enemies, they are a perfect vessel to blend both into one. I also mentioned I'd get back to the Fleshlips boss from the hospital. Fleshlips' design represents your memory of Mary in her sickbed. The metal cage represents one being bedridden and is also taken from the imagery of Misty Day Remains of the Judgment, just like Pyramid Head. Fleshlips' body is reminiscent of broken skin similar to what Mary had to endure in her disease. Also, this is the first encountered creature that has a mouth. This symbolism is due to Mary verbally abusing you in the times of her greatest pain. It represents her inner turmoil and her verbal attacks. Another very important thing is that when Mary got sick, you couldn't perform your husband and wife duties anymore. Mary was ill for a long time, and you subconsciously built up quite a lot of frustration and resentment. And this led to quite a fertile soil for Maria to come into the picture. Maria is nothing else than your mental construct. She also is a result of your inability to come to terms with the act of killing your wife. In the desperation to see Mary again and to fill the void of her absence, Maria was born. She is physically identical to Mary. They have the same face and voice, but what is different is their clothes and behavior. While Mary is portrayed as more traditional, Maria is the opposite. She is all-out sexual and flirty. The reason for this is a combination of your longing for your wife and your sexual frustration. Maria switches between being cheerful and energetic to dark and moody, making her highly unpredictable. She also tends to be fearful and clingy at times. She speaks tenderly and flirts with you, while at other times she tends to be teasing, emotionally abusive, and borderline cruel. She's a typical dream state persona. Naturally, her being your illusion, she has aspects of Mary's personality and memories. That's the reason she said she feels a serious attachment to Laura, although she has never seen her before. Furthermore, this is proved in your conversation in the Labyrinth, where she switches from Mary's sweet, soft tone, displaying her memories, to Maria's more seductive voice. She also exhibits Mary's physical state at times, like starting to cough at the hospital, needing rest, signifying the beginning of Mary's illness. The reason she is being killed over and over throughout the game is punishment in the form of you having to constantly relive your wife's death. A nice touch is the moment you find her dead in the Labyrinth. There are bruises on her face and blood leaking out of her nose. This is a direct reference to you smothering your wife with a pillow. It's an aggressive and long act which leaves marks on the victim's face. So, to get back to the gameplay, you witness Maria being murdered again, and in the realization who Pyramid Head is, you're ready to face your prosecutor. Also, this scene of her being impaled upside down was foreshadowed in an engraving on the gallows in the prison. Also, this soundtrack is one of the best things ever. After these two eat enough bullets, they impale their heads on their own spears, killing themselves as they have fulfilled their purpose. You are now able to traverse to the other side of this room, and what ensues next is pure torment. You are forced to relive one of your last painful conversations with Mary.
Mary?
What do you want, James?
I brought you some flowers.
Flowers? I don't want any damn flowers. Just go home already.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look, I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers. Between the disease and the drugs, I look like a monster. Well, what are you looking at? Get the hell out of here! Leave me alone already! I'm no use to anyone. I'll be dead soon anyway. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow.
It'd be easier if they'd just kill me. But I guess the hospital is making a nice profit off me. They want to keep me alive. Are you still here? I told you to go. Are you deaf? Don't come back. James, wait. Please don't go. Stay with me. Don't leave me alone. I didn't mean what I said. Please, James. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not going to die. Help me.
Mary was a kind, sweet young woman who spent the last moments of her life in emotional turmoil, distress, and anguish after being stricken with a terminal disease and was bedridden in hospital. The disease had also altered her skin tone and promoted hair loss, terminating any traces of her physical beauty she once possessed. The doctors predicted she would have less than 3 years left to live and told you that there was no effective treatment for her condition. Nevertheless, Mary was able to find solace in thoughts of Silent Hill, the last place where she felt happy before falling ill. As we know, she talked about the town with another patient, Laura, and they bonded during their stay in the hospital. Mary would often wait for you, and Laura would console her when you did not come. It is also evident in Mary's violent mood swings and tendencies to lash out at you that she had made resentful remarks about you to Laura, and that explains Laura's behavior towards you. But also the remarks she makes, since she was privy to yours and Mary's struggles. In the later days of her life, Mary wrote farewell letters both to Laura and you and requested that her nurse Rachel, the one Laura mentioned, give the notes to you after her death. In the end, Mary was permitted to come home because her death was imminent and she was afraid you wouldn't see her before she died. This way, you became Mary's caretaker, which gradually became a heavy burden on you, subsequently leading you to murdering her. Now, the reason Laura is in Silent Hill is the same as yours. She's searching for Mary. Being only 8 years old, she misinterpreted Mary's words in the farewell letter where she says, "I'm far away now, in a quiet, beautiful place." Laura thought it was Silent Hill, since Mary always talked about it as this picturesque, beautiful place. The reason Laura is so carefree in Silent Hill is because she's innocent. She's just a child and the town conforms to her. She doesn't hold any darkness in her heart, so the town shows her none, leaving her unharmed and safe. If you wonder why she isn't afraid anyway, since she's a child and alone, it's because Laura is an orphan. She was probably forced to overcome certain fears children usually have at that age, and she mentioned to Eddie she also runs away a lot. So a scenario of her escaping the orphanage and coming to Silent Hill is not that unlikely. Okay, but to get back to the gameplay. You climb this metal ascent to your final confrontation.
Mary?
When will you ever stop making that mistake? Mary's dead. You killed her.
Maria? It's you. But I don't need you anymore.
What? You must be joking. But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever. And I'll never yell at you or make you feel bad. That's what you wanted. I'm different than Mary. How can you throw me away?
I understand now. It's time to end this nightmare.
No, I won't let you. You deserve to die too, James.
Just like with Pyramid Head, your lack of need for Maria triggers the final confrontation. She bursts in desperation and anger and shows her true form, a monster resembling Mary on her deathbed. I believe Maria, although being your creation, was a monster all along, just like Pyramid Head, and this is her true form. She was meant to punish you by keeping you trapped in a limbo. Again, that's why you had to suffer through her multiple, ever-repeating violent deaths. And no matter the fact you birthed her into existence out of your need for Mary, your head wouldn't let you have a normal relationship with her, making her very unpredictable. Now, she can eat quite a few bullets, but eventually she falls. And the game forces you to finish her off, just like you did Mary.
James.
We are now presented with a sad, melancholic resolution.
Mary?
James.
Forgive me.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not true. You also said you didn't want to die. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
James, if that were true, then why do you look so sad?
Mary?
James. Please. Please do something for me. Go on with your life.
Now, this conversation is presented in a way that tells us that the murder of Mary was not solely your selfish decision to get your life back, but also an act of mercy and kindness to ease her suffering. But again, we cannot be sure what the real reason was. I believe it's 50-50 in James's case. You did love Mary, but again, you smothered her with a pillow. You brought a cruel and violent death upon her. Just like with Angela's case, these are some of the worst hardships a person can go through, and we don't have the answers. And now at the end, we get to see Mary's full letter to James, the one Laura spoke of in the hotel, the one she took and misplaced. Also, an important thing about the letter you receive at the beginning, the one that brings you to Silent Hill in the first place, is it's a creation of your own mind as well. As the game progresses, as you're closer to the truth, you'll see the letter slowly disappearing when you inspect it. Okay, now I'm gonna play out this letter in whole, and then we'll talk about the endings.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you. Waiting for you to come to see me. But you never do. And so I wait, wrapped in my cocoon of pain and loneliness. I know I've done a terrible thing to you. Something you'll never forgive me for. I wish I could change that. But I can't. I feel so pathetic and ugly laying here, waiting for you. Every day I stare up at the cracks in the ceiling, and all I can think about is how unfair it all is. The doctor came today. He told me I could go home for a short stay. It's not that I'm getting better. It's just that this may be my last chance. I think you know what I mean. Even so, I'm glad to be coming home. I've missed you terribly. But I'm afraid, James. I'm afraid you don't really want me to come home. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. I don't know if you hate me or pity me. Or maybe I just disgust you. I'm sorry about that. When I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. I was so angry all the time, and I struck out at everyone I loved most. Especially you, James. That's why I understand if you do hate me. But I want you to know this, James. I'll always love you. Even though our life together had to end like this, I still wouldn't trade it for the world. We had some wonderful years together. Well, this letter has gone on too long, so I'll say goodbye. I told the nurse to give this to you after I'm gone. That means that as you read this, I'm already dead. I can't tell you to remember me, but I can't bear for you to forget me. These last few years since I became ill, I am so sorry for what I did to you, did to us. You've given me so much, and I haven't been able to return a single thing. That's why I want you to live for yourself now. Do what's best for you, James. James, you made me happy.
The ending I chose for this playthrough is the leave ending. This ending solidifies the narrative that you wanted to confront yourself, and the whole gameplay style is directed towards finding Mary. Doing things such as inspecting her picture and letter a lot, not caring much about other things, leads you to redemption, and the town lets you leave with Laura. Also fitting the narrative that you might adopt Laura as it was Mary's wish. This ending is also considered default as it's the easiest one to obtain. Now we get to the darker stuff. Although, unlike the first game, this one doesn't have a canon ending, I think In Water ending fits best. This ending represents the narrative where you have given up. A narrative where you just can't come to terms with what you did, so you decide to kill yourself and share Angela's and Eddie's fate. You take Mary's body and drive a car into Toluca Lake and just drown. The important thing also is that both your final conversation with Mary, that is Maria, before you fight her, and the resolution one are different based on the playthrough you chose to pursue. This is the case for all endings, and the conversations reflect the outcome. Anyway, in order to achieve this ending, you need to do multiple things that reflect that state of mind, such as inspecting the knife Angela gave you because you were contemplating suicide, not healing yourself often or immediately because it reflects your lack of care for your well-being. Also, you have to suffer through yours and Mary's fights in their entirety, like the one in the hallway before the final fight, plus a couple of location-specific interactions, and you're awarded In Water ending. The next ending is called Maria. This one serves the narrative of you being unable to confront yourself or get out of the loop of suffering, making the same mistakes all over again. It serves the conclusion that you don't need Mary anymore and are ready to leave town with Maria. But just as you try to leave, Maria starts coughing, which represents her getting ill, repeating the cycle all over again. Nothing is resolved. Maria's purpose is fulfilled and you are stuck in a limbo. In order to achieve this ending, you have to be considerate to Maria. For example, you should not once inspect Mary's photo or letter. You should never lead Maria in the wrong direction or let her get injured. Also, when she falls ill at Brookhaven Hospital, you should frequently check on her. Also, you need to examine the empty pill bottles in the Otherworld Hospital. Your playthrough has to be about Maria in whole. Next up is the Rebirth ending. This one serves a more fantasy narrative connected to the history of the town and is a good moment to say that Silent Hill 2 does introduce some backstory. In short, the town of Silent Hill was once a sacred place for Native American rituals, worshipped as a holy land due to the spiritual power that surrounded it. The natives would use this power to talk to their dead ancestors. Now, the story goes that around 1607 they were violently driven out by English settlers who slaughtered half of them, drenching the town's soil with Native American blood. Some years later, a mysterious epidemic broke out and the settled town was abandoned. In 1800s, during the American Civil War, the area became a penal colony as well as a coal mining town. Both the Toluca prison and Brookhaven Hospital were built at the time. Afterwards, the re-established Native American tribes began revolting against the settlers, prolonging the times of unrest and unease. The once holy site was stained with darkness and burden for far too long, increasing the dark impact on town's latent power. More problems and strange occurrences came around the early 20th century. People in the area would mysteriously vanish one after the other. Just like that boat horn we heard when descending from the museum. It was a steamboat called the Little Baroness, which sank into Toluca Lake for unknown reasons. 14 people on board died and their bodies were never found and recovered. Toluca prison and the coal mines were closed afterwards, and the town became a tourist attraction. All this history later gave birth to the Order, which we met in the first game. No matter the differences in Silent Hill games, they all revolve around the same history. This is the reason why the town called to you, Angela, Eddie and Laura, and this is why it conforms to your mind. It's a place of heavy energy potency, although I love how Silent Hill 2 pushes it all the way back and puts forward the psychological part. Anyway, to get back to the ending, you need to collect 4 ceremonial items which allow you to perform a rebirth ritual with the help of the old gods of Silent Hill. Mind that this ending can only be achieved once you have already completed the game. With all the items in possession, you take Mary's body to the Church of Rebirth on a small island in Toluca Lake, and it's unclear what the result is. The last 2 endings are joke endings. One is called Dog, where in a room in the Otherworld Hotel you find the good boy orchestrating the whole thing.
お前の仕業だったのか?
That's it. In order to reach this ending, you must complete the original 3 or the rebirth endings for Dog Key to spawn in one of the dog houses in town. Then you are able to use it at a specific room in the Otherworld Hotel after watching the tape. And in the end, of course, there's a UFO ending. You have to beat the game at least once and complete the Born from a Wish sub-scenario to be able to collect an item called the Blue Gem, which you can then use in 3 specific locations just like with the first game. Once done, an alien invasion comes and Harry Mason from the first game is still with them. He starts asking you about Cheryl and you start asking him about Mary, but it's just a misdirection so the aliens can zap and abduct you. Apparently, Harry is in cahoots with them. And those are all the endings. For some final thoughts, I believe there's also a significance to the location's order in this game. The first major location is the apartment building, which could symbolize making a life with someone, moving in. The second is the hospital, which points to Mary getting ill. The third is the prison, which would have been a natural next step since you've killed your wife. Also, the whole descent into it through those endless holes symbolizes an irreversible path you chose to pursue, aka killing your wife, and falling down a downward spiral of repression and sadness. Silent Hill 2 was always the scariest one for me because there was no fantasy moment in it. Just a disclaimer, I love the first game and everything about it. It's one of my favorite games of all time and it was scary as hell playing it as a kid. But this game is about you coming to terms with loss and guilt, and that's it. The whole game is a portrayal of the mind of a person who thought he mercy killed his wife. The locations reflect that, and that's what makes it so scary. It's relatable. It's a realistic situation people unfortunately go through. Angela's situation as well. Being guilt-tripped and sexually abused by the family members from an early age, not being able to heal from such a devastating atrocity and ultimately ending one's life is sadly a very real fate for some. This game hits hard, and all the praise to Team Silent for having the balls to write this game. It stands the test of time in every way, and if you haven't played it, go for it. And not the HD retexture or what it's called. Get the emulator and play the original game, with grain, the way it's supposed to look. It's an experience unlike any other. Okay, so don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching the whole thing. See you in the next one.